Good evening, all, and welcome to the 10th in the series of faculty seminars. These faculty seminars are so that we can share across ideas from our own discipline across to our colleagues and have a new discussion about it. So, usually we have these seminars once a month at the last Saturday, and this time around it will be taken by Josiah P. Shaju, who is teaching English. So, a brief introduction about today's seminar attendees. Josiah P. Shaju completed her graduation in English language and literature from Mar Ivanius College, Autonomous in Trivandrum, affiliated with the University of Kerala in the year 2017. She obtained her PG in English and Comparative Literature with third rank from the Central University of Kerala in 2019. She qualified for UGC NET in December 2018 and for GATE in 2021 in English. She's been working as the assistant professor at Rajagiri School Engineering and Technology under Basic Science and Humanities Department since August 2019. Areas of interest include gender studies, Dalit studies, and comparative literature. She has also published one paper in a peer-reviewed journal. Okay, so before I bring on today's speaker, as always, I'll give you a basic introduction, as in you are already familiar with it, but just to remind you, this seminar will go on for just about half an hour. In case you do have any queries, you can either post it in the chat or you can wait till the end to ask. We will have an interactive session. Towards the end, we'll also be sharing the feedback link in the chat. So make sure you fill the feedback before you leave. And please make sure that your mics and your cameras are off so as to not disturb the seminar. Okay, and with that, no further ado, I introduce today's seminar speaker, Ms. Josiah P. Miss.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. I will present my screen now. Sir, I hope my screen is visible.
Yes, it is. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. So, good afternoon, everyone. I acknowledge your presence to listen to my presentation on the topic English and the World, an overview on the emergence and evolution of English as a global language. Let me start this presentation with a quote by Oliver Wendell Holmes. Language is the blood of the soul into which thoughts run and out of which they grow. So, language is an indispensable part of human life, as we all know. Language may be broadly described as a means to express our thoughts. And as a member of the Department of Basic Sciences and Humanities, as a teacher of English, as a proud and enthusiastic student of literature, today I'm going to tell you a story. A story of a beautiful language, English. Along with all cultural, economic, political, and linguistic development, the protagonist of this story, English, has also emerged and evolved. So, first of all, let's look at the homeland of English. The actual natives of British Islands, as we all know, English comes from British Islands. It's a native language of British Islands. The actual natives of British Island were a tribal group called Celts. It's pronounced as Celts. And these Celtic people, they were living in this British Islands before 5th century AD. So they were living there. Their original language was Celtic language. And this Celtic language was widely spoken in early England. The Celts who lived in England were conquered by a Germanic tribal group called Anglo-Saxons. So these Celts were commonly known as Britons because they lived in British Island. And these Britons were conquered, or these Celts were conquered by Anglo-Saxons, a Germanic tribal group, who brought in their own Germanic kind of language. And these Celts, they were expelled from their own land. They were expelled to different lands, and they took refuge in Scotland, Cornwall, Wales, etc. And only they have left only a few traces of English or a few traces of their Celtic language in the Anglo-Saxon tongue. So as we can see here, uh, after the Celtic people were expelled from English land, they have preserved the Celtic names of cities and towns, rivers and mountains, and some words referring to natural features of landscape. So, as we can see here, you might be familiar with the place names like Kent, London, York, Cornwall, etc. These place names were actually Celtic words or Celtic names, and it was preserved by the Anglo-Saxon people. And they also preserved some of the river names, very popular rivers, Thames, Wye, Dover, etc. These river names were also preserved. And the Anglo-Saxon people, they had some Britons or some Celts were remaining in the mainland, and these Anglo-Saxon people, they were having constant contact with them, some everyday contact with the Celts, and as a result, the Anglo-Saxon tongue or the Anglo-Saxon language, they have acquired or they have adapted some of the words from the Celtic language, like bin, which actually means basket, brat, which actually means cloak, crag, which means lake, etc. So these words are no longer used in English, but still these are Celtic words which were preserved or which came into Anglo-Saxon tongue. And the evolution of English did not stop with that. We can also see that the English language is having a Latin influence. So we look at how English language got this Latin influence. So it has two major reasons for the Latin influence in English. One is, of course, the Roman occupation. And the second one is the advent of Christianity. So Christianity was becoming popular during those days, and these Roman people, they conquered England again. They conquered the Anglo-Saxon tribal people. They came there. They built some roads, buildings, and they settled down there. And as a result of this invasion by the Roman people, the Latin language which they brought along with them also were incorporated into English language. So, and also we can see the Latin language was also brought in by the Christian missionaries who came with the advent of Christianity. So we can see some of the Latin words which we still use in English, or some words which still have the Latin influence. The first word is street. So in Latin, there is a word called via stratum. Via stratum actually means road. Via is still preserved in English. When we write address and all, we use this via this place. So likewise, we use the term still, and its meaning is way. And the English people, they have cut down via, and they have come up with that word in modern English called street. And also we have valum in Latin, which became wall in English, vinum in Latin, which became wine in English, cuppa in Latin became cup in English, discus in Latin became a dish in English. So likewise, the English language was having some influence from the Latin words. And we can also see that some place names, which was ending with Chester, Castor, Port, etc., came from the Latin influence. So as we can see in Latin, Castor means military camp, and Chester means a small town, and port, as we all know, port means a harbor. And after the Latin influence or after the Latin invasion, we have the place names like Dorchester, Winchester, Lancaster, Davenport, etc. Most of you might be familiar with these place names. And as I have already told you, the Latin also came into English with the advent of Christianity. And when Christian missionaries came into England with the language Latin, they brought in some ecclesiastical terms or some terms related to church. One such term is bishop. So some of you might be wondering about this word, how bishop is actually a Latin word. So it came from the word episcopus, which is in Latin. Episcopus became biscop in Old English, and in modern English, we pronounce it as bishop. And again, we have monachus, which is which turned into monk in English. We have nonna, which is nun, missa, which is mass, and pope in Latin is preserved as pope itself. And we also have presbyter. I think in English, we even use presbyter or presbytery in English as well. And the presbyter in Latin became priest in English. So likewise, the English language is having some influence from Latin. or the Latin language after the Roman occupation and advent of Christianity. So now we look at the next set of invasion which English land or the people lived in English land faced. That was the Scandinavian invasion or the Norse invasion. And these Norse people or Scandinavian people, they were seafarers, and many words from their language was also adopted into English, and the English language started to grow and develop. So the Danes made a series of inroads in England in AD 790. With the arrival of the Danes, the English language underwent a third foreign influence, which is Scandinavian influence. The Danes at first came in small numbers and made sporadic raids, but later they settled down permanently in the land they won. So, as we can see here, even after the invasion of Scandinavian people, some new place names were given. So, the place names which ended with the suffixes like be, thwaite, toft, throp, etc., came after the Scandinavian invasion. So, B in Scandinavian or the Norse language, B means a town, and thwaite means a meadow, toft means a plot of land, throp means a village, and as a result, we have the place names like Rugby, Ashby, Bishopthorpe, Applethwaite, Brimstoft, etc. And also, these Scandinavian people, they were mingling with the locals who were living in the mainland. And after their contact with the people living there, the English language also acquired some homely words like band, bank, birth, boon, booth, etc. And all these words are actually Scandinavian or Norse words. These are not English words, but English language adopted these words. Look at the words like bull, egg, fellow, etc. All these words are Scandinavian words actually. And also they also brought in some common adjectives like awkward, black, then rotten, tight, weak. All these adjectives came from Scandinavian language. And also some other verbs like call, clip, crawl, die, etc. also came from Scandinavian language. And we should also understand that, or we should also realize that some of the weekdays which we have today came from Scandinavian language or the Norse language or Norse, which is associated with Norse mythology. So we have Tuesday and Wednesday, which came from Scandinavian words or Norse language. So when we think about Tuesday and Wednesday, when we think about the etymology of the name Tuesday and Wednesday, we can understand that Tuesday came from, Tuesday was celebrated as a day of Tiv. Tiv as the god of war in Norse mythology. And it was Tiv's day, which became Tuesday in English. And also, Wednesday was Odin. Odin was the god, he was known as, it's also a god in Norse mythology. Odin is the father of all gods. And it was Odin's Day or Warden's Day, which became Wednesday. So likewise, we have these 2 days. When we trace the etymology of these 2 days, we can understand that it came from Scandinavian words. And the Norsemen, as I have already told you, Norsemen were great seafarers, and so they have contributed a few nautical terms as well. For example, the suffix haven, which occurs in the place names such as New Haven, Milford Haven, is a Norse word which with the meaning harbor. And the word skipper is from Old Norse skip, which had a meaning ship. And also some of the native words were replaced by the Scandinavian word. For example, there was an Old English word called Nimen. The meaning of Nimen was take, which we use in common English, take. And this word Nimen was replaced by the Scandinavian or the Norse word taka, and it became take in modern English. And also in Old English, there was a term called, there was a word Sjoster. Sjoster was the word used for sister. And sister is actually a Scandinavian word, and the word Sjoster was replaced by the Scandinavian word sister. And also we can also see some other influence in English language after the invasion of Scandinavians. Scandinavian influence not only affected the English vocabulary, it also affected English grammar and syntax. Now we'll move on to the most influential conquest or most influential period in the history of English language, and it is the Norman Conquest. It is the French conquest. French people, they came from France and they invaded England, and their conquest, the influence of French language, had contributed a lot to the growth and development of English language. So the Norman conquest in 1066 had a far-fetching effect on English literature and language. With the conquest of England by William of Normandy, the course of English language changed considerably. And the English and the French had always maintained a close relationship. So when the William of Normandy defeated the King Harold of Britain in AD 1066 and became King of England, the earlier tradition continued unbroken with one exception. William replaced the noblemen, church dignitaries, monks, priests, and soldiers with their French counterparts. And for 200 years after the Norman conquest, French remained the language of communication among the upper class people of England. Moreover, those who had high aspiration learned French in between. At the same time, the lower classes, they continued to speak English and they also continued to write English. Hence, the distinction between those who spoke English and those who spoke French was mainly social, and English was reduced to the status of the language of inferior sections of the society. So now we'll see some of the French loan words. When we look at these words, when we look at the French influence in English, we'll be amazed to see that a huge lot of words were adopted from French language. So there were words related to government and administration. So as we all know, the government and administration all were under the French people, and the word government and administration itself came from French. These two words are French words. And also we have parliament, council, chancellor, royal, authority, mayor. All these words are French words. And again, the words related to law also came into English from French. The law courts in early modern English were conducted in French. So we have the words like prison, judge, justice, pledge, session, etc. There are many more words. I doesn't have time to read all those words. So these words came into English from French language. And obviously, ecclesiastical words which related to church also came into English from French. So the words like religion is a French word, chapel is a French word, cathedral, nun, cathedral, then parish, all these words, baptism, confession, all these are French words. And also, many military terms like battle, castle, armor, tower, army, war, all these words came from French. And also some feudal words like a feudal, homage, servant, all these are French words. And again, when we look at the fashion, food, and social life, French people are very popular for their fashion, food, and social life. So the French set the standard in fashion and dress, and hence we find many words reflecting French dominance in fashion. The words like fashion and dress itself is a French word. And so we also have attire, gown, garment, button, embroidery, kerchief. All these are French words which came into English, and we use it as an English word now. And also we can see that there were many other words came into English as a part of social life. So in English, we have a word called house. House is an English word actually, but these French people, they were aristocratic people, they were the upper class people in England, and the houses in which these upper class people lived were known as manors. Manor is a French word. So English house became manor when French lords lived in that. And also the English in English, we have two terms, man and maid, which became butler and servant in French. And also you might be familiar with the food items. So these English people, they were rearing cattle in their field. They were the lower class people the English people were the lower class people in those times. And French people, they were the upper class. And these English people, they were rearing cattle in their fields. And the ox and cow, which were reared by the English people in their field, were known as beef when it came to French tables. When it came to French lord's table, it became beef. Beef is a French word. Cow and ox are English words. And also we can see that the swine, which is pig, it is reared by the English people, it became pork on French tables. Goat, reared by English people, became mutton on French tables. So mutton, pork, beef, all these are actually French words. And also breakfast. Breakfast is an English word, but the luxurious meal dinner is a French word. So here we can see the distinction between, or the class difference which prevailed among the French speaking people and English speaking people. And also some of the words related to arts, learning, and literature also came from French. The word literature itself is a French word. Poet, poetry, prose, sculpture, music, color, all these are French words. Grammar, physician, surgeon, everything, all these words are French words. And also we have people from sports department, or people belonging to sports department in our department itself, physical education, and some words related to them also came from French. For example, tournament, pavilion, partner, dice, chess, all these are French words. And again, when we look at the family relationships, the when we look at the family relationships, the fundamental family relationships like father, mother, brother, son, etc., are English words. But the distant relationships like aunt, uncle, nephew, niece, all these are French words. So likewise, we can see that the French people had a huge lot of influence in English language, and even many words which we use today are actually French words. And again, after that, now English language started to develop, they started to evolve, they changed their vocabulary, and they were cherished in their vocabulary. They were having many changes in the syntax and grammar. And now we look at how English became a global language. You might be familiar with the face which you're seeing on the screen. It's Queen Victoria. And during the era of Queen Victoria, it was said that sun never set in the British Empire, which means that English people or the British Empire was having colonies all over the world. They established colonies in almost all the continents, and they started teaching their language to the colonized people, and also they started acquiring words from the colonizers. So some of you might be familiar with some of the Indian words which was acquired into English. So can anyone talk about some of the Indian words which came into English language or which is used in English language? Some of you might be aware about that.
Malayalam choir.
Yes, Malayalam choir. Choir is actually in Malayalam, it's choir. It became choir in English language. Oh, obviously, when we think about English language, we should understand the versatility of English language. They always adopt language from other languages. They always adopt vocabulary and words from other languages. So, like as has said, there is square in English. There are many other words like curry. We also have, in Malayalam, we have sharkara, which became jaggery. In English, we have our jackfruit. Jackfruit in English is actually, that word actually came from chakka. And we have several such words. So these English people, they started adopting words from all these colonized nations, and their language started to develop. And also, there is an interesting fact. There is a snake called anaconda in English. There is a movie. Most of you might be familiar with that, anaconda. And the word anaconda, it came from a South Indian language. The word anaconda actually came from Tamil language. So in Tamil, ane means elephant, and kondain means something which eats or something which devour. That's what kondain means. So anaconda means something which eat an elephant. And it's actually a Tamil word. And these English people, they also adopted that word, and it's an English word now. And also we have other words. If we just go behind the etymology of some other words like ginger, orange, etc., we can see that these words were emerged from the South Indian or the Indian words like inji, naranga, etc. So it's very interesting to trace the etymology of some of these words. So now we look at how English become a global language. And in this age of rapid globalization and mass migration, a linked language for the purpose of international communication has become the need of the hour. So, hence, English, which is extensively used, has become the lingua franca, which linked all these people. So, from the status of a language of small reach in the 16th century, English has, over the years, evolved into a universal language of communication at economic, commercial, political, and cultural levels. Moreover, English is the mother tongue outside England too. So even in India, we have some states which have English as their mother tongue. So can anyone say which state in India has English as their mother tongue or the official English as their official language?
Is it a state or maybe union territory? I mean,
It's a state, miss.
Is it
okay.
Mizoram?
Yes, sir. Mysore and Nagaland is also having these two states have English as their official language. So even outside England, there are many places where English is considered as their official language, and even some other countries consider English as a mother tongue. So English colonization that spanned the period from the 17th to 19th century empowered both Britain and her language. English came to be spoken in the United States, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand. In the former colonies of Britain like India, Africa, and Sri Lanka, English is an important medium of communication. Communication is in English in the two powerful domains of science and commerce in advanced countries like China and Japan. So, in these countries, English is taught as a foreign language, but is not accorded a special administrative status. And there are marked differences in pronunciation and vocabulary among American English, Canadian English, Australian English, and the parent British English, and the different non-native varieties. But these differences do not in any way hamper mutual intelligibility. So we also have Indian English, we have African English. All these are very different. If we read the literature from all these places, we can see that. So, nearly a quarter of the world's population is competent or fluent in English. So, no other language has come anywhere near this phenomenal progress. Above all, its cosmopolitan vocabulary, natural gender, and inflectional simplicity enable foreigners to master English without much difficulty. And there are several countries where English is recognized as an official language, as I have already told you. In these countries, English serves the purpose of communication in government affairs, the law courts, the education system, and the media. International bodies like UNO, UNESCO, UNICEF, IAEA, and WHO recognize English as an official language. So this it can be said that can be said with certainty that no other language is so widespread or has a larger number of speakers than English. The socio-economic power nexus of English, the official status English enjoys among non-speakers, the proliferation of new Englishes, and the emphasis given to English education all privilege the position of English over other languages in the world and ensure the global status of English in the years to come. So, this quote by R.W. Emerson is very relevant. The English language is the sea which receives tributaries from every region under heaven. And this versatility, and this is the reason why English has grown so far and it has become the global language. And I'll conclude my presentation with a recent news. As we can see, a very popular word in southern India, like Sri Lanka. These words are used in Sri Lanka, and even we use these words at least once every day. IO, our word IO, it's spelled as AIYO. It's now English. So the same meaning which we give for iOS given in the Oxford English Dictionary, and even English people have adopted this word, and our common word IO is now an English word. So with that, I conclude my presentation and thank you.
Okay, thank you, Josie Miss. We are a bit tight on time, but if anyone has any questions, you can take this opportunity to ask right now. Meanwhile, Deepthi Miss will be sharing the feedback link in the chat.
Yeah, I would like to make a comment. Josia, this was a very wonderful presentation. Like we have traveled, a beautiful journey. And I believe you can make this presentation using some, animations and all, so that the new students can actually, I'm not referring to engineering students, but to give an enlightenment to students that this is a subject that you actually need to explore a lot. So initially, when you started the presentation, I was like, okay, I'm going to hear a long history, but this actually ended up in a beautiful manner. I couldn't actually stop smiling. My mouth was actually half open. It was like a
Thank you
lot
so
of,
much.
wonderful, like crackers. It was of a lot of information. So I really enjoyed it. Thank you. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. You can
Thank you so much,
improve this
Miss.
presentation a lot by
Okay.
coming up with some animation so that it will, it's all exciting. Each slide is actually exciting.
Thank you so much,
Thank
Miss.
you.
I used to give this class for my students when I take professional communication class. They should know how the English language which they speak has actually emerged.
Yeah, it's
So
wonderful.
thank you so much for the comment. Thank you, Miss.
Joseph, it's
Okay,
very
thank you.
nice presentation. Just one question. Do you
Okay,
have
sir.
any data of what is the percentage of Indian words in English language? In normally, if you take the dictionary wise, or like, do you have any data on that? The percentage of
Uh,
Indian words.
okay, sir. I haven't looked into that. Definitely, I have to look into that. But I doesn't know how many words they have adopted from Indian language. So definitely, I'll check that. As at present, I doesn't have any data.
Okay, okay.
I'll look into that.
Okay, so thank you, Sir Damis, for that feedback, and thank you, Anthony, sir, for the question. So once again, the feedback link is shared in the chat. Please do give a feedback if you like this session. The next session, which we'll be having, will be on the first Saturday of September. Because at the end of August, there's going to be on a vacation and there won't be classes. So the next session we'll be having will be on the first weekend or the first Saturday of September. Will be conducted by Ms. Deepa Bey. So that is the next session. As far as this session is concerned, this was the 10th faculty seminar. So once again, thank you, Josie Miss, for participating. Thank you, Deepthi Miss, for
Thank you.
basically
Thank you.
holding this session. Okay, thank you all for attending.